based a little bit on Alpha Entertainment Worldwide and rebooking history, and just the sheer fact that I'm looking forward to getting to the relaunch of Extreme Championship Wrestling within the world of Alpha Entertainment Worldwide, and also the concept of revival, the idea of rejuvenation and renewed interest. I popped on WWE ECW, and with that, I will be after the open rolls. I will be reviewing episode 1. And after watching episode 1, I just had to continue down the rabbit hole and see if the quality of episode 1 continued on throughout 2. And so, like I said, after the open rolls, check out my review of WWE ECW. Episode 1 of WWE ECW took place on June 13th of 2006, and it runs 42 minutes. It opened with a pay-per-view recap, followed by the Drowning Pool Bodies Open. This in total ran 2 minutes 15 seconds. After that, Paul Heyman is in the ring for a promo, and he introduces Rob Van Dam as the WWE Champion. While RVD makes his way towards the ring, we see Joey Styles and Taz at ringside. Rob thanks the crowd and they boo the spinner belt. Paul says he is honored to present RVD with the ECW Championship. The crowd loves this title belt. Edge interrupts Rob and Paul. Paul calls Edge the number 1 contender. Edge gets a cheap shot in on RVD. Edge runs out through the crowd, but John Cena is out with the people waiting on Edge, and they fight back to ringside. Rob gets involved. Edge low blows RVD, and Cena punches Paul Heyman. The locker room empties out. That's when we go to our first commercial break. When the show returns, we are backstage, and Paul is with the roster. He's complaining about this WWE invasion of this first episode. The invasion from Raw, not all brands of WWE. And Paul says that ECW will be on Raw for revenge this coming Monday. I'm not really a fan of all the crossover stuff. At the 12-minute, 51-second mark, we're back at ringside and enter the super dumb zombie gimmick. Taz asks, "What is this, a rib?" And the zombie just growls into the microphone until the Sandman enters, and the Sandman busts himself open before he even gets the ring, much like he often would do in the original ECW. And mercifully, this was just a squash match. The zombie got caned, and the match ends at the 16-minute, 48-second mark. And just a few minutes later, we meet Kelly. She introduces herself as an exhibitionist. Then they cut straight to the second commercial of the evening. Back from the break, and we get another pay-per-view recap, which feels pointless. Did Vince think people didn't watch One Night Stand 2? After the recap, Kurt Angle comes to the ring, and his opponent is Justin Credible, which to me, I thought, oh, this is a good sign. Justin Credible's a good wrestler. Kurt Angle's a great wrestler. But unfortunately, it is 100% dominance by Angle. Kurt is in control the whole time, and the match itself was just about 4 minutes-ish, maybe a little over or under. It puzzles me. Kurt being mad throughout the whole match seems very indicative of just him being on the third brand, or the idea that he wasn't happy about being traded to ECW. So Kurt cuts a promo on Orton about the Vengeance pay-per-view, and overall, to me, it wasn't a very good segment. It wasn't as though the promo was bad, but it just seemed like a waste of a match, almost like the match was unnecessary or filler. Vince Russo type of stuff. And unfortunately, we get more unnecessary promo time, this time from Paul Heyman. And he's saying how that, everything's canceled because of Cena showing up. And Paul announces that tonight's main event will be a 10-man, all-weapons legal battle royal, and the winner will face John Cena at Vengeance. So, again, more crossover stuff that I'm not a fan of. More promo time and less wrestling. It feels like this show is basically filler and just like a long commercial. Speaking of that, at the 26-minute 11 mark, we get another Kelly segment. She says that up next she'll show all of her assets. It's a dumb pun for an even dumber idea. And so they go to the third commercial break. Upon the return from the break, we see a man who will shortly be known as Kevin Thorne outside the arena. Joey and Styles and Taz, they no-sell the fact that his eyes are glowing red and he's got fangs, so they don't even buy into the vampire gimmick, which isn't helpful to him to begin with. Once again, they recap the show. Not just the pay-per-view this time, but also the show that we're actually watching. So I'm like, who was this for? But they also intercut some One Night Stand 2 recap, so clearly Vince doesn't believe people watched that show or are watching this one, I guess. And if they weren't watching this, why would they tune in at this point? After that, again, pointlessness, we have Justin Roberts say, "Please welcome Kelly," who is not yet Kelly. She undresses to her bra and her panties, which is, for this era of WWE, not really all that shocking. And she tries and fails to unclip her bra, and it's taking her forever. This is all just a big drag, and I'm not into... I don't know who this was for. Finally, she gives up after taking forever and failing to unhook her bra. At the 31-minute and 6-second mark, Tommy Dreamer comes out, which tells me that this dumb main event will be going less than 10 minutes, because by the time Sabu comes out at the 31-minute, 41-second mark, there's no way that this match will make it 10 minutes, which means like no match on the night has gone any amount of time whatsoever. So they go to their fourth break, and when they come back, Danny Doring and Amish Roadkill are already in the ring with Tommy and Sabu. And Al Snow is on his way out to the ring, followed by Steven Richards, Tony Mamaluke, Little Guido. They're both accompanied by Big Guido and Trinity of the FBI. Balls Mahoney comes out next, and the last entrant for the match is the Big Show at the 34-minute, 13-second mark, which guarantees that this match won't go even anywhere near 10 minutes. And at just a few seconds more, they take their fifth and final break. Back from the break, and the pointless weapons battle royal BS is, well, just pointless and BS, like I said. At the 40-minute, 4-second mark, Big Guido is pulling Big Show out of the ring. Sabu hits Show with a chair-assisted leg drop to win, and there just wasn't any good wrestling on this show. And while some of the promos were okay, it was just too many and nothing all that like monumental. So overall, I give the show a 1 out of 5. It's a complete fail to me. But the interesting thing about the show being a 1 out of 5, about it being a failure in my view, is that it made me curious enough to decide to upgrade this review from a episode 1 pilot review to an episode 1 and 2 review. And so with that, I went ahead and popped on the second episode. Just like, there's no way that they kept up this bad of a production, is there? So that first episode was a bit rough, but if you want to check out something nice and smooth, click the link in the description of this video and pick yourself up a copy of my 68-page graphic novel, Everlasting Survivors, Volume 1, all day long. There are 5 cover options available via the link in the description. This is cover A by Jeff Hicks. This is cover B by Nick Crook. There are also hats and shirts, posters, all kinds of good things available. And like I said, it's fun, it's nice, it's smooth, it's enjoyable. And now that the shilling's out of the way, let's find out if Episode 2 of WWE ECW is better or worse than the first. Episode 2 of WWE ECW was originally aired June 20th of 2006, and it ran 45 minutes and 44 seconds. This episode, we open with the ECW logo spinning out to reveal Ariel reading tarot cards, recapping last night's Raw, which had ECW guys on the show. She also teased Raw folks on tonight's show when she revealed that Randy Orton and Edge would be teaming up to take on Kurt Angle and Rob Van Dam in a tag team main event. Thankfully, that feels like it can be a good match. Unlike anything from episode 1, we once again get the body song and clips in all the song and everything. And all the segment ran 1 minute 45 seconds. I prefer this open over with the tarot cards and everything over what happened last week. I don't know what tarot cards have to do with Sci-Fi, the network that they're on, but it's way better than the zombie tie-in that they tried before. Also, I thought Ariel was always with Kevin Thorne, but it turns out that they started as 2 separate acts. Sabu is out first. That doesn't fill me with confidence for good wrestling, but let's see who his opponent is. They say during Sabu's entrance that at Vengeance this Sunday, which explains to me why they kept doing the Raw/ECW crossover stuff that I'm generally not a fan of. You know, because I don't like when they mix the streams like that. But at least I get it now that they have 2 pay-per-views so close together with One Night Stand 2 and Vengeance. So, at least there's a justification for it. But Sabu's opponent is Tony Mamaluke, and he's accompanied to the ring by Trinity. Joey Styles brags that last week ECW on Sci-Fi was number 1 for the night. And Taz points out that Raw was number 1 for the whole week, which to me sounds a little weird coming from the team that I thought was supposed to be pro ECW and not necessarily pro WWE. But, I mean, in all honesty, I guess it's fine to promote the fact that Raw was number 1 for the whole week, the most watched show. Sabu dives for Tony, who dodges the double leg takedown quick. And Tony is doing better than I expected, which is nice to see. And this isn't just a quick squash like I had presumed it could be, because everything last week was just a squash of, everyone. Sabu, he did a chair-assisted dive to the outside, and he grabs a table to set up. But Tony, he wants none of the table and sends Sabu back into the ring. When Tony gets back in with him, Sabu hits... Tony hit Sabu with the chair that Sabu had dived out of the ring with. And then Tony goes up to the top rope to try and hit a dive, but he eats the chair when Sabu throws it at his head, and Tony rolls out of the ring, but this is followed up by Sabu putting him on the table that he had set up, and Sabu dives out onto it, onto Tony, who's on the table. After the dive spot, Tony gets put into the camel clutch inside the ring, and I'm not sure if it was my lowered expectations or what, but this thing was way better than I had expected. And, you know, that's a upbeat way to start the show. After what was a surprisingly, positive match, we have another Kelly, not yet Kelly, backstage segment. She once again says the I'm an exhibitionist junk. She admits to being dumb last week and not knowing how to get her own brawl off. But somehow she must have grown some extra brain cells, because she promises to show all before we fade to black and cut to commercial. Back from the break, and Rob Van Dam is showing off both of his belts. He is promoting the main event tag match, and, he just looks good with both titles. Big Show comes out for what I thought was a match, but then Tommy Dreamer confronts him, and before either one of them can say anything, Joey Styles says, Tuesday, July 4th, ECW returns home to Philadelphia, and that is the day that RVD drops the world title. Obviously, Joey Styles doesn't say that. I just happen to remember it. And that really is a bitter moment, because it ties back to where I come from and how that RVD got pulled over on a place where everybody where I'm from knows, you got to be cautious because the cops are out thick. And it's sad to think that, not sad's the wrong word, but it's negative to think of how quickly RVD's fortunes turn bad. And, speaking of bad stuff, this segment, while not explicitly bad, just isn't the match that I thought it'd be, because it isn't a match at all. It's just Tommy Dreamer cutting a very pro-ECW promo before he slaps Big Show in the face. Big Show gets the upper hand, and the two fight outside the ring and then back into the ring. Still no referee, so I guess it's just never going to be a match. And Big Show is dominant, and Tommy is a tough face. So I guess overall they get across what they want. So I don't know. It was mostly surprising that Big Show didn't hit the chokeslam. He does like a Cobra clutch backbreaker thing, and then he just walks away. So after that, we get Kurt Angle versus Randy Orton, a recap from One Night Stand, and then also that helps promote the main event tag team match, and we cut to commercial once again. When the show returns from the commercial break, Kevin Thorne is shown with red eyes and fangs, and I wonder how this guy wasn't teamed with Gangrel. I wondered it so much that I actually went to the internet, and supposedly David Heath was rehired with the hopes of teaming him and Kevin Thorne together, but Vince thought he was too fat, which I find super crazy given the fact that I know that he has employed Rodney Anawahi and pushed him to the moon and as Yokozuna, and then also I know Vince was a fan of Nelson Frazier, and I think he still had a job at this point as Viscera, not yet Big Daddy V. So it's weird to me that the choices that man makes, although according to Bruce Pritchard, it's because of whether he ate it or not through the day, what determines his choices. But here comes another really bad choice when it comes to Vince McMahon decisions. So it's mildly better than the zombie, but this time it's Macho Libre, not Nacho Libre, which Joey Styles makes sure to say that it's not Nacho Libre while also acknowledging that it's the same basic stupidity of last week with Sandman, which then clearly indicates that Sandman's going to come out. and do the same thing, which he does. And this time, I guess it's a touch more entertaining because the Macho Libre guy, he speaks similarly to Macho Man, and he's dressed like Nacho Libre, but it's still just a caning and a 1-2-3. It's less offensive, I guess, than the zombie thing, but only mildly. In the back, Paul Heyman is instructing a referee on the rules, and then another referee tells Paul that John Cena is here. And Paul says, "Get everybody," or everyone maybe. Then we go to commercial break. When the show returns from the break, Paul is hyping up his ECW troops. The camera shifts, and we see John Cena entering through a back door of the arena. John has a black eye from the night before. John calmly walks up to Paul and his crew. In this era, Cena was pretty funny. He says, "Rob," Sabu, looks at Paul Heyman and says, "Scumbag." John is complimentary towards Sabu and tells all of the ECW if they want to join the match on Sunday that John proposes an Extreme Lumberjack match. Again, they just basically throw that word extreme on anything and think that that makes a difference. I disagree, but whatever. At least in this era, John Cena is like a real tough guy, which is good. He's not just a smart aleck who won't let people get one up on him. Back at ringside, Justin Roberts says, "It's now time for Kelly's Extreme Expose." Once again, this feels pointless. The dancing isn't compelling, and clearly Kelly isn't going to get naked as she promised. And after 2 minutes of Kelly so-called dancing, the only thing she has removed is a belt. And this is all just nuts. Eventually, Mike Knox covers Kelly with a towel, and this is all happening at 10:22 p.m. So I just have to ask, who is this for? Any adult had the ability to see this and much, much more, even in 2006, and any minor should be in bed. And I mean, I don't know. I just don't get who this segment was for. I mean, other than Vince. At the 25-minute and 54-second mark, we get a recap of Edge, Lita, Rob, and Paul's segment from last week. And I'm just like, can we please just give the main event all the time that we've devoted to all these recaps? It feels so frustrating. At 26:29, we go to commercial break number 4. After the break, we get a hype package for a returning test. That's cool. I like Andrew Martin. 27:09, You Think You Know Me hits. And finally, we get to the main event. And Edge and Lita come out. Heel Lita was just so big time. I thought she just had a great charisma about her as the heel version. I mean, she had great charisma as a babyface too, but like, it was just, it was good stuff. Edge cuts a very cliche promo. Hey, Nothing You Can Say pops up. I forgot about that being Randy's theme. And man, Orton was just born for this. Randy is super jacked in 2006. At 30 minutes and 13 seconds, Kurt Angle comes out. 31:05, RVD is here. So the main event will at least get 15 good minutes. I'm glad that that's the case. RVD looks so great with both these championships, and that's what makes it so disappointing that I know that he only has 2 more weeks of this. It also blows me the way that in like 5 minutes, Kurt Angle is going to be in a TNA due to being unwilling to go to rehab. This episode 2, I swear if this was going out on the Fox network, they would have pulled a Firefly and aired the second episode before the pilot. Although I think they aired the pilot last on Firefly, so who knows what the choice would have been. But this Episode 2 was a vast improvement over the first one. The first one was a complete and utter fail. This one is somewhere between fine and good. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. I think it's a fine episode. The main event really carries most of the weight, but even just the fact that we waste less time, we still waste some time, but we waste less time, that's an improvement. So, good job. And I look forward to doing this again. I'm going to go ahead and just finish out RVD's title run. So at some point I'll review episodes 3 and 4, which will get us to the end of Rob Van Dam's only WWE Championship title reign and only ECW World title reigns. Just because that seems like a fun thing or interesting thing to do. And thank you for tuning in and checking out this review of ECW or WWE's ECW episodes 1 and 2. Come back this Monday for me and Brandon to review the Will Ferrell movie Stranger Than Fiction. Thank you. Bye.